Alright guys, so Ben is now here. He has brought me the last remaining things I need to finish this car. Rear wheel bearings. I might actually do an install video on them, see how time goes for me. But anyway, Benjamin is over here with the dueling laptops. And we're just getting ECU labs set up. Ben is currently just trying to start a bit of a VE table for when we do first start it. I've got all the specs for the engine. So you can see there it's 8.3 compression ratio and it's got all the cylinder volumes, etc, etc. So Ben's doing all the calcs to get that all input.
So we'll get all that set up. So it's really like a mathless conversion that you're doing here. So yeah. It's never been run on speed density or map before, so we've got to set everything up from scratch and make sure it's all right from the beginning, and then everything
yeah, because really, first starting this, we need to be revving it for up until full temp to breaking the cams and
so
the rest of the motor.
Idea is we want to get it running. If you can't get it running, then just shut it down. We'll make the changes and then start it up again, so that you can go straight to 2 grand and be safe.
Alright, so while I'm doing the hubs, I've also opted for white line bushes for the trailing arms. So I've got new ones in the hub where the rear of the trailing arm, but I'm doing the front ones, and holy fuck, these are such a pain in the ass. So Subaru did it the old school way with like they've got a bush with a sleeve and then the rubber impregnated into it. So these would not fucking budge in the press because they're rusted and they're like 20 years old. So what I do, and this is what I did for the rear diff bushings as well, punch the rubber out and then put a hacksaw cut through here and then get the screwdriver in and just kind of open it up and it'll fall out. Hopefully this one works as easy as this one did, but it is such a pain in the ass. And I'll show you guys the white line ones, and it just proves how much better of a design it is. Like that. Bit of a pain in the ass. Pretty close with the hacksaw, but that's easy enough to clean up with some fine sandpaper in there and smooth that out. So I'll show you guys the white line bushes. Alright, so these ones are way, way, way better. 2 pieces. Push in, and then you got a pin that goes through the middle. Easy as fuck. So, give you your lube. Smear a little bit of that. I don't think the lube really matters on the outside here, to be honest. But in a matter of what, 10 seconds? As opposed to the last hour and a half I've spent taking these shit ones out. Like so. Excuse my holding position. And just like that, that's done. So this can go back in the car now, and then I will assemble these hubs. Alright, so I'm going to try and lay this out so it makes sense. These are the factory, they're possibly the original Forester ones, maybe the ones that came with the 07 WRX drivetrain, but basically the Rexy ones are a smaller diameter axle. So we found that out when we put the original axles in with the diff, they were too small. So in a nutshell, I got these hubs, they're in a lot shitter condition. I've obviously painted them up and made them look all pretty. Thankfully they came with the swap. The guy that I bought it off said that they used all the stock hubs. So I didn't think these were actually a R180 hub, but they were. They didn't have any backing plate, so I got a feeling he sold that with the STi brakes that he had. That should have been the first giveaway, but I wasn't thinking, so duh. So what I've done, I've taken my backing plates off and they will fit on there, no worries. actually fuck. No, they won't. Alright, so it has been a couple of days now, and as you just saw, I thought that I'd get out of this really easy and really cheekily and use the R160 backing plate on the R180 hub. But late at night when I thought that, hadn't had much food, hadn't had much sleep, obviously. Didn't actually check the bore of this spindle hub locator, whatever you want to call it, that the backing plate actually fits over. So I've had to go and fork out $500 now and buy another set of R180 hubs just for the backing plates. So here they are. I've now had to buy a set of 316mm vented rear brakes, which isn't bad. Just means I have to spend some more money, which I wasn't really anticipating on right now. So this is all good for Brembos now. So I'm going to show you guys how to assemble the rear hubs. Pretty basic. It's pretty much the reverse of taking them apart. I've already skipped that because I didn't have time to film it because I'm starting to run behind schedule. So I'll give you guys a rundown on pressing these in. Okay, so the first thing, obviously you're going to need a bearing kit. Don't skimp and get, you know, cheapy ones. Go the top of the top. These are NTN, I think. Ben sourced these for me. He's a bearing expert, so I trust his word. This is apparently what OEM uses basically. So there is the product number. So in this you get 3 seals, which is what we need, and the bearing. So these are already packed with grease. I think they go in unidirectional, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to show you guys how to put these in. Alright guys, so I've quickly whacked this one together to re-familiarise myself with this because I haven't done it for quite a number of years now. So that is a brand spanking new bearing, backing plates all on. Everything went together quite beautifully. So I'm now confident to run you guys through how to do it properly. So, alright, so seal wise they're all the same OD, okay? But you get 2 with a lip, a protrusive lip. I found that with these hubs in particular, I only needed 2, so go figure. So I had one left over. So you need one with a lip, and then you get the one in the plastic bag, which is just a straight face. So you need the lip and the straight face seals. Not quite yet though, but you will need them. Right, so the first thing I did was, you can obviously see I've cleaned all these up. They're all in really good condition and resprayed. What I did was just get a little bit of molly grease and just like a real thin smear. Like, you don't need much at all for this. Just to kind of aid this bearing case going in. That. So it's time to press this bad boy in. So that literally sits in there like that. So I'll take you over to the press where I've got all the dies set up, and we'll quickly press that in. So this is relatively basic. It's a lot easier without the backing plate on. So you basically just need to sit it on there like so. Now you can use, I've got like an old bearing case from the old hub. You could use that around there, but you do run the risk of it getting stuck in the actual bore. It should be right by the looks of that, but you know, if you had a lathe, which I do here, but you could turn that down a little bit. So that's one option. Or you buy yourself a bearing installing kit which has the perfect size boss. And I just used a bit of round stock offcut to just cover that hole so the press doesn't push through it. You want to get that dead true, get your bearing set up nice and true in the boss, and then start pressing her in. So these go in really easy, no trouble at all. This is basically like a ton of force pushing on that, which is not much at all because this is a 20-ton press. So it'll go in about 10 mil or so, and then it will bottom out So once you feel it bottom out, obviously stop, because you can potentially crack your hub, which would be very fucking annoying. There we go, so basically the depth of that little boss, so that's nice and tight. Take that back up. So we'll get back to the bench now and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so with that in, you've got to put your snap ring back in. Do not forget this, guys. And also, if you're changing your bearings, make sure you keep the old one, because this kit didn't come with a new one. I know some of them do, but keep it so you don't want to damage it getting out, so don't bend it too far beyond its elastic limit, basically. Just want to kind of get one side in, and it'll just snap down like that. And then just to check that it's in, obviously push it into the thing, and you should be able to rotate it like that. So that is in, that's all good. So now we can either install the seal first or the backing plate. Either one doesn't matter. I'll go with the seal. So this is the flat face seal. So what I always like to do, using some of this PFE high temp bearing grease, I always like to fill up the lips of that. So this is just getting ready to take this part of the axle, so that pushes inside this. Well, the spindle, I should say. Then the axle pushes into the spindle. So you just want to get it started relatively true, and then, like before, if you've got an old bearing case, you can use that, or you can even just use the mallet, just carefully. There you go, it's all just below the surface, that's it. Alright, so next up, it's time to put the backing plate on. So if you didn't take these off, obviously you don't need to do this step. I'll also point out I put new white line bushes in, which you've already seen, I'm guessing. Definitely worth doing while they're off. So, it goes like a that. It is now time to basically push in the spindle, if you want to call it that. So that will push in there. So I've already cleaned this up, but it's always good to go over it with some Scotch-Brite and a bit of lube, a bit of like WD or Inox or CRC, something like that, just to get that perfectly smooth. And like I said before, the seal sealed on this surface here, so make sure that's nice and clean. So yeah, I'll also put some tiny weeny bit of molly on there. Alright, so that will basically start in there like so. I always give it a whack just to get it started. And again, I'll take the camera over to the press and I'll show you guys how this happens. Using an old bearing cup from another hub, I basically just put that on there and transfer this force down onto there. So that stops that bearing, wanting to push in limbo. And then as that shaft spindle goes through, it'll push this little plastic bearing retainer ring out. So it's a little bit tricky getting it set up. I had to use a washer just to space it up enough, and then I'll just move this out of the way and plop this little bit of round bar there. Okay, so hopefully this one works as easy as the last one I did. Easy peasy, get rid of that, and there you go. Press right in like a pro. So that's all in there. Now we can go back to the bench, finish it off, and then good to go in the car. Okay, so with the spindle in, the only thing left to do is press the last seal in. So this is the seal with the lip, and the lip goes outwards, so towards the drive shaft. Once again, just pack the lips here with grease. This helps both for sealing and also no dry insertions. So that just pushes in down in here. So I used this old bearing cage. Alright, and like that we have a complete hub. So that's good, they should be nice and tight and smooth like that. So awesome. I can finally get these back on the car and start looking at the rear brake setup. Rotors and pads should be here tomorrow. It looks like to run the Evo rear I'm going to have to do a little bit of adaptation like I'm doing to the front, but you can check that out in another episode on the custom brake install on this car. So alright, anyways guys, I'm going to go put these on the car. Hopefully this helps some of you out. It's a bit daunting the first time you do it. I remember I had to re-familiarise myself, and luckily I had so many spare hubs I could actually look at one of them and see how it went together, because the Subaru diagram's not the best. Like, it's a good exploded view, but it doesn't give you much information, well, for the manual I've got anyway. So that's that. R180 5x100s, awesome.